The aroma of roasted coffee and the gentle hum of conversation were the usual soundtrack to Bucky's mornings at his favorite cafe. He was a man of simple, steadfast principles. Do the right thing, stand up for the weak, and never back down from a bully. His days were filled with quiet acts of kindness, a stark contrast to the chaotic world he often saw around him. This particular morning, however, the familiar comfort of the cafe was shattered. Across the room, a woman Bucky knew as the kind waitress was cornered by a man with a hard glint in his eyes. Nexus, a regular at the cafe just like Bucky, was a man who mirrored Bucky's own strength and determination, but twisted by a dark desire for control and dominance. As Nexus's voice grew louder and his words sharper, the waitress's face crumpled with fear. Bucky couldn't stand by. He moved swiftly, his presence alone a solid wall between the two. His quiet, firm voice cut through the tension. "Leave her alone." Nexus, caught off guard and fuming with humiliation, backed away, his eyes promising a revenge Bucky didn't yet understand. From that day forward, Nexus's life became a singular pursuit. He pushed himself to the limits, training his body and mind with one goal in mind: to break the man who had publicly shamed him. He wanted to wipe the memory of Bucky's victory from his mind, and the only way he knew how was to dominate him. Months later, a second conflict arose. Bucky was picking up some groceries at a late-night convenience store when he saw a familiar face, now haggard and consumed by rage and alcohol. Nexus, drunk and belligerent, was shouting at the store's young cashier, threatening to smash everything in sight. Once again, Bucky couldn't ignore the injustice. He calmly approached Nexus and with a swift, practiced move took him by the arm and escorted him out of the store. Nexus was still a menace, but Bucky's quiet resolve and a firm hand were all it took. Bucky brought the drunk man to the police station. Nexus, though defeated, was once again given a dose of Bucky's unflinching sense of justice. It was an experience that only deepened Nexus's anger and resentment. As time went on, the small conflicts between them came to an end. Bucky's consistent victory had seemed to teach Nexus a lesson. However, this peace was a prelude to the true storm. One sunny afternoon, Bucky was washing his car when a black sedan screeched to a halt in front of his house. The passenger door opened, revealing Nexus, his face a mask of cold fury. Without a word, he raised a 9mm pistol and fired. 3 shots rang out, each one hitting Bucky squarely in the chest. Bucky collapsed, the world spinning into a haze of pain and shock. Nexus, his dark deed done, sped away. Miraculously, Bucky survived. The bullets had missed his vital organs, and after a long, painful recovery, he was released from the hospital. The man of peace now had a singular mission: to find the man who tried to kill him. This wasn't about teaching a lesson anymore. It was about survival, about confronting the dark reflection of himself. Bucky's search led him to a secluded corner behind a gas station, a place shrouded in the shadows of the night. There he saw Nexus, his body trembling, a syringe in his hand. The strong, determined man was now a shadow of himself, lost to the depths of addiction. The sight of Nexus, so broken and defeated, gave Bucky a moment of pause. He could walk away, or he could step in one last time. But as Bucky took a step, Nexus looked up, his eyes wide with fear and paranoia. He saw Bucky, a figure of his tormented past, and in a panic pulled out a gun. This time, Bucky was ready. He moved with the speed of a man who had stared death in the face and won. Bucky drew his own weapon, a Glock 19 he had obtained to protect himself. The two men stood facing each other, two sides of the same coin, one forged by justice and the other by darkness. A flurry of gunfire erupted in the silence of the night. When the smoke cleared, only one man was left standing. Nexus lay lifeless on the cold pavement, the gun slipping from his grasp. Bucky stood over him, his chest heavy with a mix of sorrow and relief. He had won the final battle, but the victory felt hollow. He had done what he needed to do, but in the end, it was a tragedy born from a refusal to change. Bucky walked away, leaving the shadow of Nexus behind, a lesson in how easily strength can be twisted into self-destruction.